Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing while we hear the national anthem played by the McGill-Tulin High School Band under the direction of Mr. David Pryor. The invocation will be given by the Reverend Robert Rhymes of the Society of Jesus, Director of Campus Ministry. Father Rhymes.
There shall come forth a shoot from the stump of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. The Spirit of the Lord will rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and fear of the Lord. And his delight shall be the fear of the Lord. Father, on this exciting day of their commencement, we humbly ask that you give our graduates an intimate knowledge of the many gifts they have received, so that filled with gratitude for all, they may in all things love and serve your divine majesty. Lord Jesus Christ, help them to remain with you always, to be close to you with all the ardor of their young, generous hearts, and to take up joyfully the mission you entrust to them. Give them grace to see and to accept the reality of that mission, namely, to continue your presence in this broken world and to make manifest by their dedicated lives the glorious reality of your resurrection. Amen. Alleluia.
Thank you, Father Rhymes. Please be seated. Distinguished members of the Board of Trustees, Most Reverend Archbishop, Reverend Father President, members of the faculty, members of the graduating class of 1994, honored guests, parents, students, and friends, I declare this convocation, the 164th commencement of Spring Hill College, formally open. 3 distinctive student awards will now be presented. The Tulin Award is presented to the graduating senior who has achieved the highest grade point average. This year's recipient is Elizabeth L. Pepke. Please come forward to receive your award. This is fun.
Thank you.
The graduates selected for the next two awards are recognized for their personal example as Christian leaders. The Allen Award, founded in 1928 by the Most Reverend Edward P. Allen, former Bishop of Mobile, is awarded to the male student who best exemplifies the attributes of a Christian gentleman. This year's recipient is Manuel J. Mejito. Congratulations. The Senior Woman's Award, given annually since 1957 to the senior woman who best exemplifies the ideals of a Christian woman, is awarded to Elizabeth A. Goodwin. Congratulations. The Edward B. Mooney, S.J. Teacher of the Year Award is awarded annually to the professor who, in the judgment of a committee composed of a broad cross-section of the academic community, has displayed excellence in the fulfillment of the teaching mission of the college. This year, the award is presented to the Reverend J. William Harmless of the Society of Jesus, Assistant Professor of Theology. A distinguished member of the faculty will retire this year. Will Dr. Fred Hemphill please stand? Dr. Hemphill will retire from the biology faculty after serving Spring Hill College for 37 years. Please join me in an expression of appreciation for Dr. Hemphill's long and dedicated service to the college and its students. I would like to introduce the president of the graduating class, Wendy Zarzar, who will make a presentation on behalf of the class of 1994.
Father Rewak, we, the graduating class of 1994, would like to make a cash pledge to the construction of the Recreation Center and to pay for a flagpole in front of the center with a commemorative marker indicating it is a gift of the class of 1994.
Thank you very much. This is a nice gift, and it definitely will help towards the building of the building, which will begin in September. Thank you very much. I have a letter to read, and there is a tree here which goes along with the letter. And it's signed by Sergeant Fred Jackson, Jr., the Mobile Police Department. To the graduating class of 1994 of Spring Hill College. This is a small gift to the graduating class of 1994. I have watched all of you grow and mature in the last 4 years and feel like a Dutch uncle to many of you. I will say that when you play, you played hard, but when it was time to work, you worked hard. You have grown as a small family with fights and disagreements like brothers and sisters, never lasting long and always willing to help if someone had a problem. This was my Camelot from the world I work in, and I thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. I wish all of you happiness and success, but remember, success without happiness is nothing. As you return to this campus in later years, I hope this small gift will be one more pleasant reminder of your college life. Congratulations on your graduation. This is your reward for your 4 years of hard work. Now comes the hard part, moving into the real world. If I can ever help any of you, except to get a ticket fixed, give me a call. You know where I work. May God be with each and every one of you as you leave this campus. Sincerely, Sergeant Fred Jackson of the Mobile Police Department. The words that I wanted to say to the class I said yesterday basically at the baccalaureate mass, and I won't add to that today. But I think it's important to say something here about the next step in our ceremonies, our conferring of honorary degrees. Any college or university honors itself by honoring those who have achieved excellence in some field. We honor you graduates today by conferring a bachelor's and master's degree on you, and Spring Hill is honored by the work you have done, by the people that you have become. This is also a traditional and appropriate time to confer honorary degrees, to honor those who have achieved excellence in their life work. It's particularly appropriate to do so here because these honorees are presented to you graduates as people worth emulating, as achievers, as people who have lived and worked by discipline, as people who have taken advantage of their lives and their gifts to serve their neighbor. They deserve our recognition, and they deserve your imitation. They are people who have lived the ideals and the values of Spring Hill College. Will Judge Michael E. Zoghby please stand? Dr. Kenneth Hamilton, Vice President of Academic Affairs, will read the citation for Judge Zoghby.
Michael Zoghby, you graduated from Spring Hill College in 1954, the valedictorian of your class. You later earned your Juris Doctor degree from the University of Alabama. After your tour of duty in the United States Air Force in the Department of the Judge Advocate, you returned to Mobile to the private practice of law. You served with honor and distinction as judge of the Pritchard Municipal Court and more recently circuit judge of the 13th Judicial Circuit of Alabama, where you served for more than 20 years. You have contributed generously your effort and time to various civic causes. Your interests have included the Chamber of Commerce, the Industrial Development Board, the Mobile County Civil Defense, the Mobile Historical Society, and the Mobile Opera Guild. You have been a model of the Christian gentleman and of the Christian jurist. You brought to your bench the highest level of ethics, integrity, and impartiality that reflect the educational goals of Spring Hill College. We are honored to bestow on you today the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa. Will Joseph S. Bruno please stand? The citation for Joseph S. Bruno will be read by the Reverend Christopher Viscardi of the Society of Jesus, Chair of the Department of Philosophy and Theology, and Rector of the Spring Hill College Jesuit Community.
You are recognized as a generous and caring man who, beginning in the place of your birth, Birmingham, Alabama, has succeeded in business and devoted decades of support and encouragement to others. Your love of God and devotion to family have motivated you to achieve the business successes widely associated with your name. Your life's motto, "Get yourself moving in the direction you're going," has given you a characteristic drive which, combined with Christian faith, compassion, and a deep sense of responsibility, have propelled you into community leadership in the betterment of the free enterprise system, education, and health care. Your frequently asserted acknowledgement that everything we have comes from God places you and your benevolence directly in the Ignatian tradition. Therefore, Spring Hill College is pleased to bestow on you this day the degree of Doctor of Public Service, honoris causa.
Will Ellen Tarry please stand? The citation for Ellen Tarry will be read by the Most Reverend Oscar H. Lipscomb, Archbishop of Mobile.
Miss Tarry, of your birth in Birmingham in 1906, you asserted, "I was born a Southerner, a Southern Negro." This direct statement and its brave honesty characterize both your writing and your life, a life that has been a battle, but marked with the sweetness of victory. You are a successful journalist, a writer of admired children's books, an autobiographer and biographer, a civil rights activist, and a tireless social worker. As a young woman in the face of open opposition, you converted to Catholicism, an act that has given you the consolation of a deep faith. Your devotion to Christ and the Church have become mainstays in your life, even in the face of hostility and disappointment. For your pursuit of social justice and your defense of human dignity, for your love of Christ's poor, and your persistence in feeding, clothing, and housing them, Spring Hill College finds in you an exemplar of Jesuit educational goals. Therefore, with admiration, it bestows on you today the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
Miss Tarry would like to say something.
Your Excellency, Reverend Fathers, graduates, brothers and sisters, Martin Luther King went to Memphis and looked over into the promised land. I came to Mobile, and you have pulled back a curtain so I can see how God's army of the future will look. You'll be marching under the banner of the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man. Thank you.
Will Fannie Flagg please stand? The citation for Fannie Flagg will be read by the Reverend Michael Williams, S.J., Chair of the Department of English. Immediately upon receiving her honorary degree, Ms. Flagg will address the class of 1994.
Born in Birmingham, you established yourself first as a television producer, then you added credits as a stage, screen, and television actress, as a scriptwriter, and as a novelist. One of your earliest successes was Candid Camera. It gave you techniques which helped you to write insightful, comic, and touching candid shots of the people you grew up with in Alabama. Your most recent success, Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe, brought colorful Alabama to international attention. You have described yourself as a writer who is a slave to memory, pulled by an invisible string to a time and place that forever haunts you. From this rich source, you pulled images, phrases, and rhythms into a mosaic of vigorous life, of compassion and love. For your service to Alabama, for your defense of human dignity, for your ability to lead people to truth through laughter, and for the beauty of your words, Spring Hill College is honored and pleased to bestow on you today the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
Well, of course, this is the most wonderful moment of my life. And I'm so thrilled that it happened in my home state. And I'm so thrilled to be here. I want to address all of you, mothers, fathers, professors, and most of all, the people that I've come to talk to, you good-looking graduates. When I was asked to come, I immediately said yes, because my dear friend Archbishop Liscombe made an offer I couldn't refuse. He said, "Get here." And I was thrilled to come immediately. And the one thing that Archbishop Liscombe doesn't know, that I have a connection to Spring Hill College that none of you know, and I'm here to announce it today. Spring Hill College is responsible for my career. And let me explain. Let me take you back to another graduation. Go way back. You young people will have to go way back. Some of us will remember. To 1959. It was Birmingham, Alabama. It was another graduation. The night before the graduation was the prom. I was lucky enough to have a date with a handsome, handsome young man, an Italian man named Charles Troncalli, who I was very much in love with. And he was a lovely, lovely fellow. And I, of course, had stars in my eyes, thinking that this was the night he would propose. We went to the prom. We danced to the strain of I Only Have Eyes for You. I was in an aqua net gown, as I recall. He had a pink carnation. After the prom, we went over to his house, and we had a little party with a little punch and cookies that his mother had prepared. And halfway through the evening, he said, "I would like to speak to you outside." Of course, my little heart started to beat, and I thought, this is it. Will it be a proposal going steady? Oh, well, whatever. We went out on the front porch. We sat in the swing. I batted my eyes. We swang a little bit. And he said, "I have something to tell you." And I said, "Yes, Charles?" He said, "I've decided to go to Spring Hill College." And I thought, Spring Hill College, well, that's not too far away. And he said, "To become a priest."
Sorry, isn't it?
But I forgive you. And years later, actually 25 years later, Father Charles Troncalli had his 25th anniversary, and I was brought in as a surprise for him to do a roast by people that knew he knew me. And he looked at me, we arrived, and he saw me there, and he was stunned. He said, "You're here?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, you know, I came to New York several times and saw you on Broadway." I said, "Charles, why in the world wouldn't you come backstage and say hello?" He said, "Oh, I didn't think you'd remember me." I would like to congratulate my fellow doctors, Dr. Bruno, Dr. Tarry, Dr. Zoghby. And I have to be honest with you, I've always wondered what it would like to be a doctor. I've only been a doctor for very few moments, but I want to share with you from my heart. The moment I received it, I had this unmistakable urge to play golf. You know, today is a wonderfully happy day because it's a gift-giving day. Mothers are receiving gifts today. You're receiving the gift of your child graduating. And the wonderful graduate class of 1994, you've just received a treat. And I think it's beautiful. But you also have received the greatest gift of all. You have received the gift of education. And all through your life, things will happen to you. You may lose your home. You may lose your car. You may go bankrupt. You may become extremely rich, and Clinton will take away most of your money. But education is something that they cannot take away from you. It is yours forever. No matter where you go, how far up the scale, how far down, it is yours. It is the greatest gift of all. People all over the civilized world, it's the one thing they want more than anything is an education, and you have got it. And I'm so, so happy for you. It's a rare, rare thing. You know, as gifts go, I thought, if I could give you a gift today, of course I don't know each one of you personally, but I thought about it. I thought, if I could give you something today, what would it be? And I thought I would give you two things if it were in my power to do so, for you to go out into the world. The first gift I would give you is the gift of curiosity. Because if you have curiosity, you will never in your life be bored. You will never stop learning. And there's so much to know in this world. And when I say I would give you the gift of curiosity, I would want you most of all to be interested in your fellows. Be interested in other people. You know, I'm always amazed when I ask people, particularly in the North, well, where did your grandparents, where are they from? They say, I don't know. Well, what was your mother's maiden name? I don't know. I'm so amazed that people don't know their own history. And especially the history of your immediate family. People ask me, how do you write a novel? Well, the truth is there's a novel in every living human being. Every person sitting out there has a novel. You have a background. You are a member of the human race, and it is the most exciting history. And I think the other gift that I would give you more than anything is the gift of compassion. Because without compassion, you cannot forgive. And the ability to forgive is what separates us. And also, if you have compassion, it softens your heart. And without a soft heart, you will begin to shut down. And today, again, is a special day. It's a day that I'm sure most of the graduates feel this is the day that life begins. Life begins. And it's interesting that it's Mother's Day because she gave you life. And that is the question of the universe, isn't it? When does life begin? When does life begin? Oh, people debate that all the time. And it reminds me of the three clergymen standing in a room really arguing. And they say, when does life begin? And of course, the good father, the good Catholic father said, no question, it begins at the moment of conception. And the Baptist says, no, no, no. It begins the moment the baby is baptized. And the Jewish rabbi walked in. He said, no, no, you're both wrong. It begins the day the children leave home and the dog is dead. But that's for the parents. They know of what I speak. But I would be remiss in my duties as a commencement speaker if I did not at least try to impart some wisdom to you. Me, wise? No. Experienced? Yes. Been hurt? Yes. Made mistakes? Yes. So I'd like to title these few words that I have for you under the heading of some advice from an older, not old, but older gal. And this is the advice that I would give you. I would ask that each time that you speak, to speak from your heart. And here I've complimented you on your brilliant education, and I'm asking you to think with your mind, but speak with your heart, and always tell the truth. And in telling the truth, sometimes if you can't tell it to other people, at least tell it to yourself, and you'll never, never go wrong. And the main thing is to enjoy the good times. You know, I have so many friends that look back and they say, oh my, those were the good times. I was happy and I didn't know it. And isn't that sad? I want you to every day take your temperature, and if you're happy, enjoy it, because it passes. Sadness passes. Just remember to kiss the joy as it flies, but know when you're happy and enjoy it. And also, it would be wonderful if I could advise you to always be willing just to open the door a little to change your mind. Always have that option that someone can change your mind. And also remember that if you are trying to change someone else's mind, it's a very difficult thing, almost impossible. And it's almost impossible to change someone's mind if you're angry and you're screaming. You know, people can't hear you when you're screaming. And the most powerful way to change someone's mind is by example. And the strongest statement that you can make to another human being is your life and how you live it. And I have found that to be true. And also, if you do this, you may be the very person that changes another mind. I would ask you to truly enjoy the differences in human beings, the different cultures. but to also always cherish and examine the similarities, because that will keep you connected to your fellow human being. Because after all, we all are the same. We all want the same thing. We all want to be loved. We all want to be respected. And that's the one thing we have common. And also, I'd like to give you the courage to see only the good in life. And it does take courage, because we're living in a time that everything is very negative. It seems to me that every time something is reported in the news, it's negative. The news is bad. But remember, and it takes courage to remember this, that every time there is a report of bad news, there are thousands of pieces of good news happening. Like today, I'm sure that if we go home and look at the news tonight, we'll hear the bad news. But the idea that 200 bright, shiny minds are getting ready to go out into the world here today will not be reported. So always remember that there is good news, and have the courage to rise above the negative in our lives. And when I say rise above, I had an interesting experience driving here. You know, the birds in Mobile are so absolutely beautiful. And I noticed something, that the birds sometimes will fly straight in front of a car. They will fly low. And here God gave them the ability to fly so high. So I would say to you and advise you always to fly high. You have the ability with your mind and your soul to go high. Don't fly low. And always strive to see the best in your human fellows. Don't look for the worst, and you will see it. I also would like to say that it's very important to keep your sense of humor. We are living in an insane world, and to try to make sense out of it doesn't work. So always try to keep your sense of humor. And I have hope, I really do, and I feel that the time that we're in now is very much like we're on a plane. You know, I'm sure most of you have been on a plane, and when there is turbulence, when things are rough, you're either going up to a higher level or you're going down. I choose to think we're going up. So we're in a rocky time now, but I feel very, very confident that we're going up. You know, I really envy you the fun you're going to have to go out into the world. And I want you to sort of in your minds look around at your classmates and try to remember what they look like. Because believe me, in 25 years from now, when you come back here for your reunion, you're going to be surprised. That shy guy that you never paid any attention might be president. And that bombshell blonde is going to be a grandmother. You're going to be very, very surprised. And I just wish that I could be here with you 25 years from now, but, you know, I'll be in my 50s then, and I don't think I want to. But really, I want you to do something. Think about your 4 years and what you've accomplished, and pat yourself on the back and enjoy what you've done. You've been through 4 years, some of you longer, some of you going to have a little longer. And think about the fact that you did these 4 years by yourself, but also your parents, your loved ones did those 4 years with you. And congratulations to them and who sat there with you. They were also in school. And I was so touched when I received the letter from Spring Hill College. And I'd like to read you what it said to me. It said, "We would like to honor each year at our commencement exercises some modern author who speaks tellingly and sensitively of human characters, the tragic of life, but also of hope." And I was so pleased that that was in there, because I'm sure you can see that I do have great, great hope for you. I really do. And I'm behind you 100%. And on that day, I was so touched. I thought, I am so honored to be picked to come and speak. What sign, what is it that I could talk to them about? And it was a special day for me, because I have an idol, and it's a man named Thomas Edison. And I adore this man because he literally lit the world. This one person lit the world, and that's all we are, one person. And I say to you, you can do and achieve great things, and you may say to me, but how can I light the world? But I must remind you, oh, you have it on great authority. You can. Because a very dear friend of ours said, you are the light of the world. So I bless you, I wish you well, and I say to you, go out and light the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Flagg. We'll now proceed with the conferral of degrees in course. Will the candidates for the master's degree please stand? Reverend Father President, I have the honor of presenting to you candidates for the Master of Arts in Theology degree, the Master of Theological Studies degree, the Master of Science in Education degree, the Master of Arts in Teaching degree, and the Master of Business Administration degree. They have been duly examined and recommended by the faculty and approved by the corporation.
We, the president and faculty of Spring Hill College, empowered by the sovereign state of Alabama to confer degrees in all departments of the arts and sciences, hereby invest these candidates with all the rights and privileges pertaining to these degrees.
The graduates may sit until their row is called by the Marshal to come forward. I request that the audience hold all applause until all master's degrees are awarded. Dr. Barbara Nolan, Associate Vice President of Academic Affairs, will present the graduate students. Dr. Nolan.
Let the Master of Theological Studies graduates advance. Gerard M. Delaney. Anne Margaret Dowdle. Susan R. Genereux. Laura Anita Hosley. Clarence C. Keller. Francis E. Weber, Jr. Let the Master of Science in Education graduates advance. Lisa Maria Cutter. Chandra W. Ford. Margaret F. Livingston. Donna M. Robinson. Elizabeth Lynn Smith. Shannon Lee Stacy. Beverly A. Irvin Turner. Let the Master of Arts in Teaching graduates advance. Jana Ann Carter. Todd Howard Childs. Francine W. Craig. Jerry Lynn Downs. Robert L. Fetters. Louise S. Gudak. Elizabeth Austhill Harris. Belinda Andre Hatcher. Suzanne Blair Held. Lucia Hickson Hicks, Kimberly Hillman, Carmen Stephanie Johnson, Joseph Seymour Jones, Raymond C. McDade, Charles Alvin Middleton, Ward New, Ann Dowd Powell, Haley Kaufman Reese, Luann L. Shankle. Let the Master of Business Administration graduates advance. Olabode O. Anishe. Eric Arthur Bjorkner. Jack Reed Gardner Jr. Stephanie A. Martin. Joseph Din Pham. Subramanyam Puja. Randy W. Redfoot. Leslie Vaught Reiser. Robin Loy Russell. Helen Eileen Sylvester. Willie Gray Taylor. David C. Wolverton.
Will the candidates for the bachelor's degree please stand? Reverend Father President, I have the honor of presenting to you candidates for the Bachelor of Arts degree and the degree of Bachelor of Science. They have been duly examined and recommended by the faculty and approved by the corporation.
We, the president and faculty of Spring Hill College, empowered by the sovereign state of Alabama to confer degrees in all departments of the arts and sciences, hereby invest these candidates with all the rights and privileges pertaining to these degrees.
The graduates may sit until their row is called by the Marshal to come forward. I request that the audience hold all applause until after all degrees are awarded.
Let the Bachelor of Arts candidates advance. Arletta Charlene Anderson, Donald Walter Anton Jr., Elizabeth Jane Bartlett, Harvey S. Bartlett III, magna cum laude, Catherine E. Berry, John Anthony Bolato, Mary Louise Bradley, Thaddeus Todd Bray, Marita Adelia Brochu, Beth Ann Brophy, Colette Judith Buckley, Ernest Roy Boudet Jr., James Michael Butler Jr., magna cum laude, Elizabeth Claire Camp, Amanda Elizabeth Chastain, Angela Marie Cimento, magna cum laude. Luis Sentado. O.M. Cole. Joshua Carey Coleman. Sharon Rita Coleman. Brandy Ellen Collins, summa cum laude. Katerina Commercy. Mary Gail R. Connor, cum laude. Andrew P. Davis. Diane Estelle Deacle. Christy T. Devine. Jonah B. Dowling. Margaret Eleanor Duke. Anne-Marie Dunchak. Robert Patrick Dunkel. Windley Hall Ellington. Gloria Michelle Elzen. Glenn Anthony Fitzmartin. Creighton A. Fowler. Christopher R. Grafey. Kevin M. Green. Jessica R. Halverson, cum laude. Jennifer Marie Harrison. Elizabeth Marie Hartman, magna cum laude. Lauren Elise Hellings. Carol Hughes. Rebecca Alexis Hughes. Megan Johnston. Anne Elizabeth Carney. Rhonda Felicia Keith. Gerard M. McKenna. John F. Kilpatrick. Stephen M. Koshin. Ellen McVeigh Lane. Michael Langworthy. Margot Leach. Jessica Keys Lieberman. Carrie Lindsay. Alice Watson Loans. Mary Catherine Lucky. Ellen Margaret Meyer, cum laude. Alex Edward Mathis. Vanessa L. McHenry, cum laude. Mary Garrettson McGuire, summa cum laude. Melissa A. McNamara. Heather Kathleen Momper. Eleanor D. Monty. Hunteria Benetta Nelson. Jane Ann Newell, cum laude. John C. Nicolosi. Ashley Patricia Norton. Amy Michelle Parsons. Elizabeth Louise Pepke, summa cum laude. Robert Anthony Parrington. Brigida Rose Pira, cum laude. Kristen Marie Quintana, summa cum laude. Ruben Rodriguez. John Salabunas. Jill Scanlon, summa cum laude. Marie Sheldon. Kristen M. Slattery. Maureen Catherine Smith, summa cum laude. Joseph M. Stringer, Sarah E. Terrell, Andrew P. Thielen, Amanda E. Thompson, Michelle M. Velhaber, Matthew L. Verrill, Mary Catherine Walgreen. Let the Bachelor of Science candidates advance. Kim Marie Allback, Sammy T. Ali, cum laude, Mark Christopher Allen, Brandy Marie Anderson, Kevin M. Andrews, Duquesne Ankowitz, Dale Robert Ancelone, Elbert Aarons, Elio A. Arocha, Colleen M. Barreca, Patrick O. Barry, Charles J. Barter III, Jeanette Lee Batchelor, Drew Thomas Baumgartner, Matthew C. Bazzano, Maria R. Becker, Marnie J. Beckham, Michael J. Bayer, DeAndrea Maria Benoit, Donald Staunton Bergen Jr., Cara Deanne Bolts, Samantha Lee Bowler, Cynthia L. Britton, Teresa L. Buckheltz, Jeffrey Matthew Berg, David Allen Burke, Adis Cabrera, Denise M. Kane, Vito A. Consolaro, Charlotte Ann Clifford, Tara Delana Davenport, cum laude, Thomas E. Desmond Jr., Kimberly L. Diamond, Daniel Divis, Kevin P. Doan, Brendan St. John Donnelly, Lynetta Orlean Julio Dowell, M. Hudson Ellis Jr., Erica Alarise Faulkner, Jose Javier Fernandez, Catherine Fernandez, Deanna J. Franklin, Linda Marie Freeman, magna cum laude, Peter Mark Gockerman, Elizabeth Ann Goodwin, Lacey Lee Green, Cynthia Ann Grote, Stephanie Lynn Haynes, Sean Emery Hammond, magna laude, Amy Morris Hand, magna cum laude, Jennifer O. Hardell, Candace Marie Harlan, Susan D. Harrison, Ryan Nigel Haston, Holly Elizabeth Hawk, Adrienne Carter Holmes, magna cum laude, Sonia Yvette Hughes, Anne Ruth Hull, Mary Christian Heyer, Ivan E. Ikasa F., Jennifer Lynn Janet, Christopher Thomas Johnson, Brian Douglas Jones, magna cum laude, Jeffrey Ray Jones. Mr. Jones is concurrently receiving an Associate of Science degree.
Make my wall with a double.
Terry S. Jones, cum laude. Michael J. Carr. Amy Lee Casal. Latanya Faye King. Raquel A. Coivisto. Paul Alexander Konesny. Tun San Ku, summa cum laude. Janine N. Lackey. Ryan A. Layden, magna cum laude. Lenore Therese Landers, cum laude. Kimberly Ann Lang. Jennifer Jean Lell, magna cum laude. Shelby Lynn Leonard. Virgil Thomas Little, cum laude. Danielle Lombard, summa cum laude. Santina Maria Long. Nicole Lyle. Teresa E. Mann. Nolan Philip Marino. Emily Meyer. Aria B.J. McLaughlin. Jonathan A. McLean. Manuel Jesus Mejido, summa cum laude. Michael Charles Melnick. Kirsten Elizabeth Merritt. Jason Louis Mesrano. Heidi Ann Miller. Jared Michael Montague. Jeffrey Brandt Moynihan. Kendra Ann Murray. Carol Ann Nana. Philanese Angelique Nobles. Deirdre P. Norwood. Hugh Mosteller O'Neill. Ryan Gilbert Pavlicek, cum laude. Melissa Clark Peak, cum laude. Christine Andreana Piazza. Penny Brown Prater. Mark S. Prosch. David James Tachek. Roberto Ramirez. James Ranieri. Patrick G. Rem. John Edward Rice Jr. Marcia R. Richardson. Renee Elizabeth Riley. J.C. Faith Rizzo, Jennifer A. Roberts, Christina Marie Roth, Robert C. Rothar, magna cum laude, Kristen Rue, Mary Evelyn Roy, magna cum laude, Eric Peter Sabungi, magna cum laude, Kristen Jane Samarco, Elizabeth D. Sanders, Sadi Amado Sayago, Timothy Amato Scalzitti, Kerner M. Shobit, Kelly P. Shea, Heidi Justine Sincel, Hilda Michelle Smith, Roseanne Smith, summa cum laude, Jason R. Striplin, Danielle St. Romain, Joseph P. Stutz, Jeremy Nathan Swartz, Chad Vincent Therio, Kevin Michael Philborger, Caroline Thomason, Laura Marie Tucker, Frank Joseph Ulo Jr., magna cum laude, Amy Suzanne Villa, Mary Cooper Alsop Williams, Norman Jean Williams, Timothy John Wilson, Jeffrey P. Wimsett, Hazel L. Woodward, magna cum laude, Derek Kevin Fawcett Wright, Patricia M. Zirao, Wendy Ann Zarzer, Lori Ann Zawistowski, Bradley Kyle Zito.
Miss Jessica Halverson, Orator for the class of 1994, will deliver the farewell address. Miss Halverson?
Most Reverend Archbishop Lipscomb, Reverend Father President, classmates, faculty, parents, and friends. First, I would like to dedicate this speech today to all of the parents who are watching it from somewhere above the avenue, especially Mrs. Jenny Sheldon. When Student Activities Director Melly Boanny called me a few weeks ago to ask if I would do the senior class orator, I accepted the job even though it might cramp my plans to bask in the sun for the few remaining weeks before graduation. I hung up the phone and panic set in. Naturally, I turned to my peers for support. Rob Dunkel spoke for many when he said, "I don't care, just say my name." Thank you, my friends, for all of your help. When my Badger buddies ran short on ideas, I did what any well-educated college senior would do. I waited and prayed for divine intervention. In the past, nicknames in the Spring Hill experience have been discussed, and I didn't know if I had the dignity required to pull off a famous quotation. So I decided to speak on what attracted me to Spring Hill and what persuaded me to stay. 4 years ago, in the fall of 1990, I packed my bags and headed for Big Orange Country at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. Football games were fun, classes weren't too hard, and the bars served anyone who could crawl in. Registration was a 12-hour ordeal. Average class size numbered somewhere around 250, and the fraternity mixers were a little too cheesy for my taste. I've heard people say that colleges just have to fit the individual, and UT felt like a really tight and outdated shoe. But I gave the almighty state school another chance. I trudged back that spring, counting every day of every month until the semester ended. The day after I made it back to Memphis for the summer, I requested information from several schools. 3 of them were smaller private schools, Spring Hill among them, and one was another state university, my if all else fails plan. Now, a week later, I got a phone call from Spring Hill Director of Admissions, Tim Williams. Whenever the phone rang from that point on, Dad would nervously eye his wallet, but Mom gave me the thumbs up. That June, Dad and I checked the car's Freon level and skipped town for a weekend jaunt to Mobile. Although class wasn't in session when we visited, Mobile's 90-degree heat and the 100% humidity couldn't hide Spring Hill's Avenue of the Oaks and its blooming azaleas. I immediately understood what Tim meant when he said most students make their decisions after touring the school. As we strolled across the flowering campus, Dad, who usually sleeps through talks concerning the importance of a good college education, kept mumbling, "Pretty neat school, Jess. Really nice people." And that heart attack never came when the tuition costs jarred his ears. Playing it cool like Mom told me to, I dropped a few subtle hints on the way home. Said, "Dad, did you like that school? Tim was really nice. I think that looks like the right place for me. I don't think we need to look anywhere else." Dad would smile at me and frown at his wallet. That fall, I packed my bags again, this time headed for a college where my only ties to the school were the admissions counselors. My friends from UT told me I would hate it for a few months, and I didn't. They told me it would be hard to meet people. It wasn't, and they told me I would have to study more. I did. What I found at Spring Hill, though, was much more than what the tuition or the college brochures mentioned. Sure, an hour's drive from the beach didn't hurt my decision, but it wasn't even the small student-teacher ratio or the percentage of students on financial aid that surprised me. Although these attributes attracted me to Spring Hill, they aren't entirely responsible for what kept me here. The brochures talk about Spring Hill's sense of community. Admittedly, we're not perfect. Gossip runs rampant, especially after big social weekends and Greek formals, and we have a few cliques. But I've seen this school pull together more than once when someone becomes ill or loses a parent. Students, faculty, and administration alike do what's necessary to accommodate a friend who's hurting. Boasting of Spring Hill's student-faculty ratio of 14-1, the brochures fail to mention that teachers not only know your name, they know where you live. And they know where to send drop slips when they miss you in class. TV screen teachers can't do that, and graduate assistants usually don't care to. And how many of us are here because our parents, friends, or brothers and sisters took the Spring Hill ride before us? Offhand, I can think of the Thielen, Lane, Elson, and Zarzer clans, whose parents might have been better off working for the college so they could get free tuition. What about Spring Hill's geographically diverse student background? Don Bergen has left Reno for the past 4 years because he loves LA, Lower Alabama. Andy Davis and Tim Wilson hail from Maryland. Jeff Wimsat comes from Toronto. And Jose Fernandez flies out of Puerto Rico each year. 70% of Spring Hill's total population comes from outside of Alabama. Marie Sheldon, on the other hand, is a native Mobilian who never thought of going anywhere else. She's not alone. When high school seniors who have lived in Mobile all their lives choose to attend Spring Hill, the love of the college has outweighed the desire to see different parts of the country. If all we wanted was to get away from home, we have an entire world of choices. I suspect the idea of leaving sub-zero weather in mid-January for a destination where you need air conditioning brings a few of us here. Consider the school's selective admissions process. Some of us might laugh a little here, remembering a few creative, free-thinking characters of the past, people who jump repeatedly out of the third floor of Mobile Hall, some who catch frogs to paint swastikas on their backs, others who have taken Ouija boards into Yenny Hall before its renovation. To each his own, I suppose, but something that held my attention about Spring Hill students was that most of them seemed to want to be here. This college, I suspect, is too difficult to attract freshman women looking for their soulmates. We work, both physically and academically, for our degrees. This is clearly evidenced by our dreaded senior seminars, which are about as much fun as root canals. Don't get me wrong, we also know how to blow off steam. One main difference between Spring Hill and the larger state universities concerns priorities. There's an appropriate time to study and a time to let loose. Spring Hill students know this, not to say that we've never made a wrong choice here or there, but that good old Catholic guilt slaps us back into shape. And let me assure you that this campus knows of more than a few relaxation techniques. Those glossy brochures also push the small size of Spring Hill. Graduating with a high school class of 620 and leaving a college of 25,000 students, I've definitely learned to appreciate the benefits of a small college. Obvious reasons such as student-teacher interaction and safety aside, another less conspicuous advantage caught my attention. When I shook my principal's hand in 1990, I realized that I was just then putting names with faces for at least half of my graduating class. It's a little late to figure out you've missed meeting a few people. Today, after 280 of us have crossed the stage and accepted our $60,000 diplomas, we know more than names and faces. Chances are we probably know who's had stitches in their knees, who's having car trouble, and who's forgotten his toothbrush this morning. It always amuses me when, after I finish explaining that Spring Hill is not a vocational school or a community college, people claim to know someone currently attending our esteemed Jesuit University of the South. Unless they know the size, many will mention their friends' names and follow with, but you probably don't know them. You have to live in a cave here to not at least recognize the name. When we were in New Orleans this past February, hanging out at Madigan's where all of us cool people do, my friend Matt and I decided it was time to consume something more substantive than 12 ounces. Walking to the restaurant next door, we were escorted to a table in the back of the room. It was cold and I was wearing my Spring Hill sweatshirt. Before the two of us had even a chance to sit down, the room exploded. "Do you go to Spring Hill? Are you a Badger? Hey, go Badgers." Some of the unfamiliar faces smiled and waved, and 4 of them pulled chairs beside our table. It seems the entire room was filled with alumni who were also on the barley and hops diet. Now, these weren't your, "yeah, I went there a few years ago" alumni. Our 4 new dinner guests bombarded us with questions. Does Chief still comb the Mobile Hall trash for hidden treasures? Is the cloister still there? I assured them that the cloister was still clogging students' arteries. And the questions continued. They wanted to know if Juanita still patrolled the cafeteria, if Leola delivered those never fast enough or big enough checks from home, and if Kathy and Wanda were still putting our family Christmas presents on our bookstore charges. We've walked down the Avenue of the Oaks for the last time as students today, and most of us are ready to move on to bigger, maybe not necessarily better things. But how many of you have already heard your friends planning for return trips? We talk about Parents' Weekend, Mardi Gras, or Alumni Weekend, but we haven't even packed our cars to leave. No matter what initially attracted us to Spring Hill, these unheralded attributes of the college are what have kept us here. The glib statistics and loaded phrases which help pitch the college to high school seniors merely hook the students and hold them for ransom until that first tuition check rolls in. It takes something tangible to keep us here and interested. Obviously, all of us today chose to complete our education at Spring Hill for one reason or another. We now have the gift of a solid college degree, something that can never be taken away from us. When we pack the U-Hauls and leave the safety of the Oaks to the class of 1995 tonight, we leave our Spring Hill career behind. But the parts of Spring Hill that make up our fondest memories will be here 30, 40, and 50 years from now, because they are founded on genuine strengths of the school's character. It is these strengths which will preserve the facilities and continue to attract teachers who love the job and students with the will to learn. On behalf of Spring Hill College's class of 1994, I would like to thank the faculty, staff, administration, and parents who put the caps and gowns on all of us today. And a special thanks to the moms in the audience who encouraged us when we were having the worst days of our lives and rejoiced with us when we triumphed. Happy Mother's Day.
just stay up here a second. Very much. Thank you, Ms. Halverson. Ms. Halverson, in recognition of your selection as the senior class orator, the class of 1994 wishes to present you with this commemorative award.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
At this time, I would like to ask the Most Reverend Oscar H. Lipscomb, Archbishop of Mobile, to extend his greetings to today's graduates. Archbishop Lipscomb.
Father Rewak, esteemed colleagues, especially those of you who have received the honorary degrees and you who are the heart of this commencement exercise who receive your degrees in course. I had something to say and then I kind of lost it all. First, because you're such a happy-looking class, and I don't think you could look happy unless you really were happy. Graduating classes were not always happy in my time as priest and bishop. We've come a long way. You do better in the world if you can see a balance between the good things and the bad. And then your valedictorian, or at least the one who gave the dress, used a phrase that I don't think a bishop has heard in a long time in Holy Church. Good Catholic guilt. I've still been reeling from that one because, thank you. Sometimes we forget that guilt can be good if it makes us change. And of course, if we never had any guilt, that would mean we are perfect and we never needed to change. Which brings to mind the famous quote from one of Harry Truman's ancestors that was mentioned by David McCullough in his recent biography, an ancestor coming from, I think, Kentucky, who prayed the prayer, "O God, makest thou me always to be right, for thou knowest how hard I am to change." One thing, though, keep your sense of humor, and know that in the midst of so many things to smile about, there's so many things that do need changing, but above all, you are the good news that can help much change, and while it's happening, can still rejoice in the gift of being good. You don't have to be miserable to be good. I've forgotten which saint it was, but I'm sure it was a Jesuit who said, "Saints never come with mouths like one-piece wooden coat hangers." Think of that one now for a while. And let me leave you then with this final little comment. Proclaim the good news always. The good news that you have been given here at Spring Hill, the good news that family and friends have given you that is truly good. Proclaim it always. Sometimes use words. God bless you all.
The benediction will be given by the Reverend Christopher Viscardi of the Society of Jesus, Rector of the Jesuit community.
Please stand. I want to open our closing prayer with a brief quotation from a recent book by Emily Griffin, A Spirituality of Business and Enterprise. Intimacy with God is the simple truth that earlier, more hopeful generations knew. Prayer, unconscious, unself-conscious friendship with God is the stuff from which they once shaped businesses, skyscrapers, cities, and nations. Now the question nags at us, where will we find this new power of vision to see God in our marketplace? Let us pray. God our Lord, we turn to you now with grateful and humble hearts. As we enter the world of business and commerce, the world of science, art, law, and politics, give us the vision to see beyond profit and loss, beyond power and pleasure, beyond success and failure. Give us the vision to see a world charged with your grandeur, resplendent with your beauty, like shining from shook foil. Make us instruments of your peace and builders of your kingdom. Through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Before declaring the exercises of this convocation closed, I ask that the audience remain in place until the faculty and graduates have departed. I invite all to refreshments to be served on the steps of the library. I wish to thank all the members of the McGill-Tulane High School Band and their director, Mr. David Pryor, for helping to make our 164th graduation ceremony a success. I also request that the graduates proceed immediately to the steps of the library where the class picture will be taken. To close the convocation, I ask all to sing the Spring Hill College alma mater.